Hello, thank you for tuning into my channel. This is Jewelry Box Quilt video number 2. So today we're going to square up the blocks. If you want to see what that looks like, please stay tuned. I have all of the blocks here for my jewelry box quilt. My design wall was just a little bit too small, so if you look over here on this side, they're kind of squoze up there so that they all can fit. But I like the closer view a little bit better. You can see all the colors. They're really cool. All right, and so there are two basic blocks here. One is the light square. Here, these two right there together. The light square with the dark frame, and then right next to it is the dark square with the light frame. So those are the two basic blocks that we're working on, and I sort of have them, they're in the correct layout, but I'm not going to sew them together this way because we still have a couple of steps before we sew everything together. I actually there are a few spaces here because there's still 2 blocks left to make. They're on the sewing machine right now. I just wanted to take a second because there may be some extra pointers that I have for the pressing. So I'll make those 2 blocks on camera, and then we will talk about squaring everything up. So even though you've already seen this process, I'm going to go ahead and go through it again with these light frame blocks. Hopefully it won't take too long in the video, but I do want to just show you that it's exactly the same as the first set. I'm just doing a rough cut of these here, and so I'm just going to stitch. I'm going to stitch these blocks together chain pieced. I am using version 1 or technique 1 to make these blocks. That makes it really simple to put everything together, and it's going to help a lot when it's time to sew the blocks together, because I have a way of thinking about it that will make the seams come together easier with less bulk. And I already have one here that I'm finishing up, so I will finish that one up in just a minute. Now here's the second one. Okay, because as I was putting these together, you know how as you go, you get a little bit more savvy about your technique because the blocks were finishing kind of raggedy. And so I wanted to go ahead and make them at least look finished, not like I have to go back and trim them up, even though I have to anyway. So here's the second one. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. And if I had done this step from the beginning, I never would have done technique 2 because this is so simple. So I'm going to sew these on, and then we're going to go to the cutting table because that's where I really want to show what I need to show. This chain piecing is so simple, and it helps you get a lot of blocks done quickly, which I was able to do. So it was really great. Alright, so let's go to the cutting table so I can show you this next part. Here's the step that I'm going to show you. Now these are the 2 pieces that I just stitched on. And what I'm going to do is, before I press them out, I'm actually going to go ahead and cut the excess fabric off. And it's going to give the block a little neater look, and make it a little bit easier, at least to tolerate. I know that I still have to go back and do an extra step after I'm done, but I like this, that it makes it look a little neater for this sort of midway step. It makes it look really nice. So I'm cutting the sides off here. And so when I go to press it, I can press it out like this. This is the block that I've already finished, and I'm going to do the same thing. So you end up cutting these off twice, but you end up with a much nicer finished block. And this is just a little quick tip that I want to share. Hopefully it'll make your technique 1 a little bit easier. If you're doing technique 2, you probably would have to do this 4 times instead of twice, because you would have to do it after each block if you want your block to be super nice and neat. In the process, I don't think it matters in the long run, but for me, this little step, the more I did it, it helped me to at least feel a little bit better about the blocks, and they looked a little neater going into that last stage. So, and then when this one opens out, it's going to look like this. Okay, so I'm going to finish all the blocks, and then we'll talk about squaring everything up. I have all my blocks made, and now it's time to start getting them ready to cut down or square them up. There are 2 reasons for this. One is because some of my blocks have these little wonky sides. You see these little jagged edges right here, and so I need to get those off. The other reason is because I want to get my blocks to the same size, because once they're the exact same size, then they'll be easier to sew together for the whole quilt top. So I want to do that. I'm going to use my 15-inch square ruler, but if you have a ruler that's a little bit closer to the size of your block, that would be good too. Mine, the only other square ruler I have is a 6.5, and that's way too big for these blocks. So I'm going to use my 15.5-inch square ruler. It's going to be fine. I have my rotary cutter. I have my cutting mat. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I pulled some of the blocks off the wall. There are 50 blocks behind me, and so I just need to, I'm going to measure each one, but I measured one, and I feel like I have an idea what I need to square them to. But I do go through the process, because if you have one that's way different, like way smaller, then you may have to go back and do everything again. So I am going to measure every single block, but I'll go through the process with you so that you can see how I approach this. There was something else. This might seem like a tedious process. When I first started quilting and I heard about the idea of squaring blocks up, I was not pleased about it, but it's going to make things easier in the long run, and that's what's most important. If all seam allowances were perfect and all strips and squares were perfectly cut, these blocks would be 9 inches square right now. However, as I was stitching, I noticed, number one, that my straight seam is only straight-ish sometimes. I also noticed that some of the strips that I got or that I cut, they weren't exactly cut the same. All the strips weren't exactly the same. So that's why I'm going to go through this process also to see what measurement I need to cut them down to, just for, just so that everything can go back together in a reasonable way. So I'm going to move the camera and we can go over it together, how to get everything measured and hopefully cut down. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to be using this 1-inch corner to start with my measuring. I'm just going to place the first block down. This is one of the blocks that has the extra on each side. So I'm placing my ruler down here. I'm actually going to stand up so I can see a little better. And hopefully you don't have as much glare from the ruler. I know I put a light there, but we'll see. Okay, so this one is actually a pretty good size. I actually have 9 inches all the way around, and then this extra is bigger than 9 inches. So I'm going to make a stack that just says 9 inches. My first block was 8 3/4. So I'm just going to take a piece of paper here. I'm going to write 9. And then I'm going to just start a stack. And I think I'm going to work towards 3 stacks. And I think that this big 9-inch block, I think it's going to be an outlier. I think it's going to be rare. Okay, so I'm just going to go through each block. This is one that I made using Technique 1, and so it doesn't have the extras on the outside. And so hopefully you can see that this one is much smaller. I won't be able to get a 9-inch square, but I can get an 8 3/4-inch square. And so it's going to go in my 8 3/4 pile. Okay, next. Okay. All right, this one is another pretty good one. It's big. And I want to show you this too. I'm actually using the 45-degree line on my ruler as well to kind of help me line it up. That's going to help me see things a little bit clearer. I'll go into more detail with that when I start cutting the squares down. But this one is actually a 9-inch. Let me double check. Yep, I actually could get 9 inches on this one. Okay. All right, I'll do one more, and then I'm going to do the rest of these. I think I'll still do them on camera, but I may speed it up a little bit so that you can. Okay. This one is not quite 9, especially on this side, so it goes into the 8 3/4 pile. All right, so I'm going to speed up the video starting here, but I am going to measure all of them on camera. I just have to get some music on. So these are my stacks of blocks, and actually it didn't take that long. It probably took about maybe 10 to 15 minutes, maybe not even that long, to just get a quick measurement of all these blocks. These were the ones that finished at 9 inches, and there aren't very many of those. Most of them I feel like I can get 8 3/4 out of. So I'm going to take this smaller measurement and I'm going to cut all of the blocks to 8 3/4 inches. All right, now I'll just start with the first one here, and then I may do a couple on camera, but I mean, I still don't think it's going to take that long. And actually what I think I'm going to do is go get my smaller mat and sit it on top of this one so that I can rotate it. Let me do that, and I will, well, no, I'll just go ahead and do the first one here, and then I'll go get that mat, and hopefully it'll go a little faster that way. All right, so here we go. I am standing up, so I have a little bit more leverage here, and I'm going for 8 3/4 inches. I'm going to take advantage of my 45-degree line that goes down the center of the ruler, and I'm going to place it here at this point and this point on the block, and I think that's going to give me a nice foundation to to the block being square. And I don't know if it'll work on both sides, but I'm going to do my best to make it work. And I just want to make sure that I have a little bit of fabric outside of the 8 3/4 inch line. And so if I need to move it up a little bit, then I would do that. I don't think that's necessary for this one. All right, and then I'm going to cut on 2 sides here. So, and 2. And then if I have my smaller mat, what I can do is just turn the mat around, and but you know, it is what it is right now. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, except I'm lining up the 2 cut edges on the 8 3/4 line. All right, so, and on this one, I happen to have the that 45-degree line. It works. Hopefully it'll work on every block. And then I'm going to cut the other 2 sides. And I was not a fan of this, as I said before, when I first started quilting, but I know it's going to help get everything together neatly. Now what I'm going to do with my cut blocks is I'm going to go ahead and put them up on the design wall so that I can see everything in focus. Okay. And I think that's it'll help to get them out of the way. And hopefully more of them will fit on the wall, because they'll be a little bit smaller. All right, so here's the second one. And another thing that I like about this is that it really allows me to see the colors of the blocks and like kind of put my hands on every single block. And because you get to kind of go, oh, it's so cute. I like doing that. All right, so first 2 sides. Second 2 sides. I feel like my ruler is really dirty. It's sticky. I don't know why. Probably from quilting at the kitchen table. I think when I go upstairs and get my other ruler, I'm going to clean everything off. All right, and again, I'm lining up now on the 8 3/4 line with the 2 cut sides. And my 45-degree line works again. All right, and I know this part is going to take a little bit longer than the measuring, but definitely worth it. So I'm going to go ahead and get these finished, and I'll show you everything once it's done. Behind me up on the design wall. I have squared them up. I used a measurement of 8 3/4 inches. Doing the squaring up, it did take a while, probably about an hour. I can't tell because it's like almost 9 o'clock, and so I'm tired anyway. So I can't tell if it took longer because I'm tired or if I'm tired because it took long. Y'all know how that is. So the next step is going to be to really play with the layout and get it how I like it so that I can start sewing it together. But even just as I was getting ready to film this segment of the video, when I took a look at it, it just made me so happy. I love the colors. I like the way that it's coming together so far. I think it's going to be a lovely, lovely quilt once I'm done with it. So I was thinking, if you want to share your pictures of where you are on the jewelry box quilt, I would love to see your color combinations. I'd love to see anything that you're doing on this project. Even if you're just still at the picking fabric stage, whatever. I'd love to see where you are. You can join the Purple Quilt Facebook group and share your pictures there. If you want to email your pictures to me, you can email them at purplequiltco@gmail.com. I'll put that here on the screen so that you can check that out. And then I would love to just kind of see where you are and communicate with you on this sew along. If you have any questions about what you've seen, oh wait, before we do that, there is a download. I'll link the download in the description box below. We're still on going all the way to 10K subscribers, so thank you so much for subscribing. I hope you saw the numbers at the beginning of the video. Let's see, anything else? No, I think that's it. So again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you are a subscriber, hit that notification bell so that YouTube lets you know every time I release a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!